shown. Semi-final action in 3 different weight classes tonight. It was middleweights, light heavyweights, and heavyweights taking center stage at Wintrust Arena. What a night we've had. Sean O'Connell, Randy Couture, Dan Hardy. Interesting night. A lot of back and forth battles. We went to the judges' scorecards over and over and over, and it was not an easy job for the judges tonight. Very competitive fights.
We had chaos. We had groin shots, and we had like weird exchanges back and forth where you're kind of figuring out if one person's hurt as bad as we think they are, and they're kind of staggering around. And what a night it's been. Every single person that's moved through to this final has fought incredibly hard to get themselves there. There's no doubt about that. And here we go, middleweight, Fabian Edwards joining us.
Look, fresh. He hasn't even taken his wraps off yet. That's how fresh out Fabian Edwards is. Look, here's something I think we've learned in this tournament about Fabian Edwards. I think we can trust the man, because in the first round of the tournament, he said, look, I'm going to run Impa into some elbows and I'm going to put him away. And that's what happened. And then what did he say in the fighter meetings this week about this fight against Josh Silveira? He said, look, this one's probably going the distance. It's going to be 3 rounds, and I'm going to batter him, and I'm going to wear him down. And, well, I can trust you now.
You trust me now?
I do.
I told you that's what's going to happen. I knew he was tough, so I just knew that I had more in the tank than him and more skill, so yeah, I said it and I did it.
It was a competitive first round, a little bit back and forth. Is that kind of how you expected the first frame to go?
I just felt like I started slow. My leg was heavy for some reason, you know, so I felt like I started slow and allowed him to get a few shots off that he shouldn't have. But you know what? It's a good learning fight, and I appreciate that fight from Josh.
Let's take a look at some of these replays. You know, big moments in the fight. You really got into a groove. You got the timing down in that second and third round.
Look at me,
And
grappling.
he's back a couple of times as well. Almost like we're going to hit with a rear naked choke on a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Listen, I'm a fucking black belt, so at the end of the day, I could have stopped him, I should have stopped him, so I know my coach, Tom Breeze, when I go back, he'll be analyzing it and making sure that we correct those mistakes.
Well, what matters is you advance to a middleweight tournament final, and we just saw the face-off in the smart cage. Dalton Rasta, he also had a tough fight tonight, back and forth battle with Aaron Jeffrey. That's a guy that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Give me your early assessment of Dalton.
First of all, he lost that fight. I don't care what the judges say, he lost that fight. You know, and if it was the 5-rounder, he therefore would have got finished by Jeffrey. So at the end of the day, August the 21st, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna put hands on him, feet on him, elbows on him, and let's see if he lasts 5 rounds.
You think the 5-round fight favors you in that one?
Of course, he was fading, and I was coming on strong.
What were you saying between each other at the face-offs in the end?
Just a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, you know what I mean, a bit of banter. That's all it was, but like I say to you, August the 21st, you'll find out,
So no concern there? I mean, look, this is a guy, like, you told us your body feels better, looks better. You're going to go back to back with these training camps. Obviously, that guy, there's some physicality to him. What's the game plan against somebody like that?
Go forward and put fucking hands on him. That's the game plan. I'm going to go forward, stop his takedowns, and put a lever on him. And that's what it will be.
It seems to me a bit like you've almost realized your potential this year. Like, you've kind of set a tone for yourself, and you've stepped forward in your career.
Yeah.
Like, do you visualize yourself with that championship, that belt around your waist? Do you know that's your destiny this year?
I really do. You know, I really do. I felt like the fight with Johnny, that 5th round kind of unlocked something for me. You know, I was able to go into that fight and push deep, and I felt like that fight there brought me to another level. I'm going to show all of these guys.
It's like Team UK v Team US over here. Like, it's almost like it's been set up this way.
We know who win. We know who win.
Staying out of it. I'm not fighting Randy Couture.
3-on-2 also. Come on, guys.
You don't catch on.
That's an easy win for our side.
Okay.
By the way.
All right, Dalton, I just asked this question to Fabian. You know, you had your first face-off. Give me the early assessment of this finals matchup.
You want to ask me how I'm going to finish him? I'll do exactly what he said he was going to do. I'll batter him. Yeah, I'm gonna batter you. I'm gonna use
You
your
just got
exact
battered?
thing. I just got battered.
You just got battered?
I just beat him worse than you beat him.
You just got battered.
I beat him worse than you beat
Watch
him.
the fight back, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the fight back. I don't need to watch it back.
Nah.
I outstruck him worse than you did.
Okay, bro.
All you did was land 2 fucking uppercuts whenever you fought him, bro. That's it. That's it. And you got held against the cage the entire time, bro. You got nothing for me. 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 You keep talking. Listen, he keeps talking. Nah, he keeps talking about Johnny Eblin. Wait till you get in there with me, bro. You keep talking about Johnny Eblin. Wait. I'm gonna slap you all around the cage. Nah, just because I look good, you mad because I look good? Look at me, dog. Look at you. Yeah, look at you. You got a big ass forehead.
Whose idea? Whose idea was
That's a big ass target for me to hit. That's a big ass target for me to hit. Yeah, I'm going to. August 21st is going to be fun as hell. It's going to be fun as hell, baby. It's going to be fun as hell. I can't fucking wait. Yeah.
Dalton Rasta, Fabian Edwards for a World Tournament Final, August 21st. Thank you both for joining us on the post-fight show. I very much look forward to that fight. And you know what? I think I look forward to the run-up to that fight almost as much, because if that's any indication, this one's going to be a lot of fun. A little USA versus UK action at 185 pounds. Let's take one more look at the bracket as we send these guys off to celebrate with some Chicago deep dish. That's how it looks. Fabian came through Impika Sanganai and then Josh Silveira. Dalton Rasta got Sada Busi and then avenged his only career loss against Aaron Jeffrey. Punching tickets. Woo! All right.
Whoa, the heat.
Oh, no. I know, I'm sweating. I love it. I'm buzzing for all.
I want to punch something. Sullivan Cauley, Phil Davis. Look, this is a pick that Ian Parker gave us. He said Sullivan Cauley has what it takes to knock out a guy with 4 times as much pro experience. And Sullivan Cauley very nearly did knock out Phil Davis, but of course a veteran like that, so hard to put away. The head kick and then the right hand. Look, I got to go back and watch the fight again. 2 scorecards had it 30-27 for Cauley, 29-28 on the other one. And he advances less than 10 fights into his pro career. He knocks off a former Bellator champion, and he's opposite Shoeface in the final. And Kennedy Smith, our cage side reporter, caught up with Sullivan Cauley.
Thanks, Sean. Sullivan Cauley, you fell to your knees when you got the decision. You came over here screaming. Tell me the emotion.
This is the best moment of my life so far, you know. I've been dreaming of stepping up against big opponents like this since I was a little kid watching this sport, you know. I remember I played the UFC video game when I was a little kid and Phil Davis was on it. So this is a big moment for me, and it was a big test for myself to see what I was made of. And, you know, I had to dig really deep there against a fucking tough guy to get it done.
It was a close fight, hit for hit. What do you think really sent it over the edge for you?
I think I outdid him a little bit with the striking. I dropped him and he never dropped me. Other than that, man, it was a close fight. He landed some takedowns, kneed me in the eye. You know, God, he's good.
Going to the World Tournament Finals, taking on Shoeface. You looking forward to that one?
Another veteran, another really established fighter, and it'd be another great notch under my belt.
All right, go celebrate. Congratulations, great win.
Thank you.
Sean.
That brings us to his opponent, Antonio Carlos Jr., the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Champion back in the day, the 2021 PFL season champion back in the day, Antonio Carlos Jr. This was supposed to be grappler versus striker, Randy. This was supposed to be, I got to get Simeon Powell down and avoid that reach advantage. And Antonio Carlos Jr. mostly leaned on his striking to get the unanimous decision victory.
He showed greatly improved striking. We've seen him use his hands before. He's not afraid to wait in the pocket. He's got naturally heavy hands. He lets them go. But it was refined. He picked his shots. He threw good combinations. He stayed in that pocket and did exactly what he needed to do to get the victory. And I think that probably surprised Simeon Powell that he was willing to engage in that kind of fight.
So it's Cauley versus Carlos Jr. at a 205-pound World Tournament Final. So another theme that we talked about tonight was the old guard or the young stars. Well, it was one apiece in the light heavyweight division, and that means in the final we have that same dynamic. Antonio Carlos Jr., the old guard, Sullivan Cauley, the rising star. And look, I just want to jump on what Randy said. Antonio Carlos Jr., look, he's not old by any stretch of the imagination. He's in his mid-30s, but he took some time away from the sport. He did some reality television in Brazil. More importantly, he let his body heal. He had some surgeries that he'd been putting off. And what we have seen from him since has been incredibly impressive, especially in the striking.
I absolutely agree, and I think it was a surprise that was really causing Simeon Powell some problems. He was so expectant of that level change because the ground game of Shoeface is so dangerous. But of course, you know, he's taken the time and he's developed, and you know, this might be a lesson for some other fighters around the globe as well that are early 30s perhaps, that, you know, might need to take 12 months off, 18 months off and regroup. There's time to rebuild, and that's what Shoeface is doing. If he goes on to win this tournament, I mean, that would be a real statement for that. But of course, Sullivan Corley, I think he got so much confidence from that hard-fought battle against Phil Davis.
All right, let's look back at the heavyweights that we fought on the early card tonight when you guys kicked me off the broadcast. Rodrigo Nascimento and Oleg Popov, two big boys squaring off. And Popov, man, he just timed the takedown so well, pressured on top, rode a unanimous decision victory. A strong performance again from Oleg, Randy.
Oleg did a great job, did exactly what you expect a very good Russian wrestler and a combat sambo performer to do. He came out, set him up, took him out of the area where he might be strongest with those hands. Even though he's a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner with 6 submissions to his record, Oleg floated over him, made his life miserable, and wrestled him to a victory.
And he fought all the way to a final last year. He ended up losing, snapping a long win streak to Denis Goltsov in that one, so he gets another crack at PFL Gold. And then in the other one, Valentin Moldavsky, Alexander Romanov. This one, just an unfortunate end, as early you saw some high-amplitude throws, some big-time wrestling from the man from Moldova. Moldavsky had this big body. I cut to make 265 pounds individual on him, and then that knee finished the fight about 4 minutes and 30 seconds in the World Tournament rules. What that means is the judges are asked to give an assessment of the fight up to that point and advance the fighter based on that. So even though he was carted off on a backboard, he will advance to the World Tournament final.
I just hope he's okay, and I hope he can continue. It's not very often you see someone carried out on a stretcher, especially for a groin shot, and he wasn't able to lay straight. He wasn't able to extend his leg. I mean, that's the fight that we want to see. I hope we get it.
So a really interesting finish there in the heavyweight division, but more importantly, a cool matchup at 265 pounds. All right, let's bring in Jonathan Coachman on the post-fight show for the post-fight press pass.
Win. And I think they're really buying into that. So tonight was awesome. And you talk about, you know, homegrown talent. We got Thad Jean still available, still going. Dalton is going to be a guy that we're really behind. To me, you had a great mix in this tournament of the OGs, like a Liz Carmouche or a Fabian Edwards, or you had a Phil Davis who put on a good fight tonight. And then you had a lot of young guys and young ladies that have come in that not a lot of people knew, and they put on great performances. So I think there's been a nice mix for sure. Yeah.
Coach,
Yeah, what's up, man?
I was just wondering, so heading into the third round of the Sergio Pettis fight, how did you have that scored, and then what did you think of it?
I'll be honest with you. I was a little bit surprised at the scoring in that fight. I am not a fan, and I don't want to. I would never take shots at any of it. I'm not in the matchmaking part of our company. We all try to stay in our lanes a little bit. But historically, I mean, you guys are smart MMA guys, right? When you put two guys that have a history together and they train together, how many times have those been bangers? I wouldn't say very often, right? So I was a little bit worried about that, and that's kind of what we had tonight. And then you have all the love afterwards. I'm telling you right now that I respect both guys, and I respect the judges and all that, but this is a new PFL. And you're going to come out, if you're going to fight, I don't care if it's against a guy that you trained against 3 or 4 years ago. You got to show that you want to be here, and you got to come out and you got to fight for 15 minutes if that's what it takes. And I did not think we had that tonight. So it wasn't like I felt one way or the other, but it certainly, to me, did you think that he won the fight tonight? You can be honest.
No, I thought so.
You can be honest. Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't think so. You know, and we're so stuck in the traditional ways of, well, that's not why I'm standing here. We're here to be honest and talk it out, right? And I just don't particularly like guys that, because to be honest with you, we interviewed Pettis after his fight tonight, and we asked him, and we're like, what was that like? You know what he said? It was the worst thing I've ever done. I hated it. Don't do that to me.
We'll let Coach handle the rest of that press conference. Reminder that August is finals month. Atlantic City, and then Charlotte, and then South Florida in Hollywood, as we will crown World Tournament champions. PFLMMA.com/schedule for tickets. Our first event in Atlantic City will feature this welterweight tournament final, Thad Jean and Logan Storley. Another rising star versus established veteran matchup.
That is the welterweight final for you guys.
That young man is a rising star.
There it is.
Big takedown.
Logan Storley.
Thad Jean, short hook and another. Unloading from the top position. Oh, these are huge shots.
It's over.
Yeah, just nasty ground and pound.
When you're in a cage with Thad Jean, the silverback, I'm going to win. I'm going to put you out.
Oh, big left hook from Thad Jean.
Storley mixing the wrestling and striking beautifully.
Thad Jean finishes with an uppercut.
Ground and pound hammer fist Logan Storley.
All right, Thad Jean, Logan Storley. That's a fun way to start off our finals, huh?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, Thad Jean's got all the momentum, but you just know what Logan Storley can do to people. We've seen him do it so many times, just suffocate and drown and erode their confidence. And this is a 5-round fight as well. We're going to have to see something special from Thad.
Can he stay on his feet against a former All-American collegiate wrestler in Logan Storley?
Well, that's the real question. I mean, this guy's got All-American status with the Golden Gophers in Minnesota. He's a tenacious wrestler. He uses that significantly in his style. He's done that to a lot of guys. Can he do that to the silverback? That's the question. That's a guy that's very athletic, long-range weapons. You know, he's going to prepare for that. Everybody knows what Logan's going to do. He can whisper it in your ear, and he's still going to execute it. So it makes it very, very interesting.
Well, that's enough reason to tune in right there, but wait, there's more. Jesus Pinedo.
Oh, featherweight.
Versus Movlid Haibulaev.
Yeah.
These are two guys who've had PFL gold around their waist. They've each won a PFL season in the past, and now they're squaring off against one another. And this is the matchup that both of them wanted. They said, you know what, he's kind of like me. He's quiet, he lets his action, his fighting, do the talking. Yep. I respect him so much, I want to go knock him out.
They're very different, though, in the way that they fight. I mean, Haibulaev is calculated. He's got fantastic striking, but he's going to be the shorter of the two fighters. He's going to have to lean on his wrestling, surely, in this fight. But then on the other side, Pinedo is he's relentless, but he's got composure as well, so you kind of don't know when he's going to get started. Also with great takedown defense, also with fantastic knees at the center line. I mean, what a fight that is going to be. And they both want to fight each other so they can prove that they are the man to beat, the best guy.
Yeah. Pinedo with those long levers, you'd think he'd play long, but no, he wades right in and he generates amazing power with those long levers at short range, which is remarkable. It's going to be interesting to see if Haibulaev has to tap into that wrestling, take him out of that fight on the feet, and make him grind on the ground.
Yeah. You know, my favorite thing about it is we don't have to wait too long before we're August 1st
that is
in
nice.
Atlantic City. I mean, that's 6 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
6, 5? It's coming up! You can buy your tickets at PFLMMA.com/schedule. Be at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, and then Bojangles in Charlotte, Hard Rock Seminole in Hollywood, Florida. And our global schedule, July 4th, Riyadh, PFL MENA. You download the PFL app with that QR code. Watch that domestically. July 5th, Dan and I will be in Brussels, our first trip to Belgium, following PFL Europe action. If you want to watch that here in the United States, guess what? Download the PFL app. And then the launch of PFL Africa in Cape Town, our Road to Dubai Champions Series, where we will see Johnny Eblin, Costello Banstinas. You'll see Dakota Ditcheva, who is in the building tonight, against Sumiko Inaba. A great card, and of course, PFL Africa's launch on the undercard leading up to that. Thank you for joining us for 3 straight weeks of PFL semifinal action. Thank you to everyone here in Chicago. Our crew behind the scenes is always the greatest. For Jonathan Coachman, Kennedy Smith, Greg Hamilton, Randy Couture, Dan Hardy, I'm Sean O'Connell. Stay well, everybody.